Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. Hi, everybody. I'm excited because we have Missy Stevens and Susanne Kerns, co-hosts of the Mom and ... podcast. That's how I met you guys.
Yes.
So a little bit about each of them, then we're diving into this conversation. Missy Stevens is a writer, foster child advocate, and podcaster. Her past life includes stints as a corporate community relations manager and nonprofit communications writer. These days, Missy is an aspiring novelist, slowly working on endless revisions of her first manuscript. Suzanne is a humor writer living in Austin, Texas with her husband and 2 children. Her work has been featured in Scary Mommy, Red Book, Today's Parents, and several parenting anthologies. She spends an unhealthy amount of time on Facebook, but you can also find her on Instagram where she posts her tasteful nudes, photos of poorly lit food and animals all nude. Don't get all excited on me here. Or on Twitter whenever she accidentally opens the wrong app on her phone. And I have never done that.
And less and less time on Twitter these days. It's just not a fun place anymore.
I know. No, it's Instagram and Facebook for sure. Definitely for our demographic. But welcome, both of you. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're part of our Beyond Empty Nest podcast.
Oh, well, thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm so excited that this podcast exists. I knew you needed to start one the minute we met you.
Oh, well, thank you. And it was part of what inspired me to definitely say yes and dare on and do it is when you hosted me on the Mom and ... podcast. So we'll make sure we lead everybody in the audience listening to your podcast as well.
Great.
All right, ladies, let's tell everybody, let's start with where you are in your mom journey. Who wants to start?
I'll start. It's so hard when you have 2 guests.
I know. It's all good. I'll call you out, but I figure
you can call on us if you need to. But so I have 2 kids still at home. I have a junior in high school and an 8th grader. And so I am prepping for my empty nestness. And it is something that I have thought about for years and years and years. I never wanted to wake up one day and go, oh, crap, they're gone. Now what?
Yeah.
So that's where I am. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and that's, I'm going to get to that because not everybody thinks about it. Like you just said, you think about it and then they end up in the old crap. Now what? Space. So we'll get to that. Suzanne, where are you in your mom journey?
Well, I'm at a very exciting point because my daughter just finished all of her college applications this past week. So now we're in the waiting period where we have to sit here for, until the end of March. So a couple months where we have to sit here. Or by the time this airs, we'll maybe know. Well, that'll be exciting. I can update you.
Oh, we'll do a follow-up.
But yes. So it's kind of, it's nerve-wracking. It's exciting. It's making me feel all the feelings as far as like planning for your life. And when you have this whole life ahead of you and making all these decisions and just the idea of changing your major. I like the idea of all these schools are now telling kids that you will probably change your major. Yeah. And this idea that, even though we're in our 50s, we have the right to change our major and what we're doing in life too. Yes. So that's made me be thinking a lot of stuff. And my son is 13 years old. So we still have a road ahead of that poor boy who now I'm planning. We didn't think about my daughter's college until like midway through her junior year. And this poor kid's in the 7th grade. I'm like, are you taking the most rigorous classes for your
I know we
college
do that
applications?
Oh
my gosh. We drag ours on the college visits. And he's like, I don't, why am I here? I'm like, this is your college visit to this university as well.
Right. Like, pay
We're
attention.
not coming back
here.
Doing
this again.
Yeah.
I remember that. Dragging myself because my kids are 3.5 years apart. 3.5 years apart.
Exactly. We're like, take notes, kid. We're not coming back to Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. So, okay. So this is good. You both have kids very similar in ages, almost identical, except one has 1 more year in school. The other one is heading off to college soon.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. So, okay. How'd you meet? We want to know how you guys met.
Well,
Yeah.
we met through mutual friends. We have
Uh-huh.
kind of a we call it the in concept only writing group, but everybody's writers, like,
Yes.
especially
In
Kristen.
various ways, yeah. We were all
Yes.
bloggers at one point, and then it's changed.
And a lot of people knew each other through, it's called Listen to Your Mother, and I'm gonna say her name wrong. It's Imig, right?
And Imig, yeah.
Anne Imig,
Mhm.
has this really great spoken word show called Listen to Your Mother.
Mm.
She franchised it out a couple of years ago, so now not all the cities do it anymore, but a
Yeah.
lot of people in the Austin area who are writers, mom writers, uh, met each other through that. But
Yeah.
we really got to know each other in a hotel room. We like to say
Yes.
we were professional roommates basically
Yes.
for the first 2 or 3 years that we knew each other.
Mm.
We would really only talk and see each other when we were in a hotel room together,
Yeah. Like,
usually
I
at
think we met
conferences.
once before we landed in Dayton, Ohio, and shared a
Mhm.
hotel room for a
Is
conference.
this for this community that for writers?
It
No,
was
this
just a
is
writing conference.
yeah, the
Okay.
Irma Bombeck conference was the first place, and then we also are now professional roommates at the Mom 2 conferences.
Yeah.
But I figure if you can share a hotel room with someone in that kind of environment, you know how you're just kinda done after a day of
Yes.
conferencing,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
just someone who understands and can vibe with your energy and just know when we're done talking or know when I need to, like, get something
Yeah.
going. So, I think that's a special kind of relationship. So when I was thinking about starting a podcast, I probably a year before we actually started, I
At
sent
least.
Missy a drunk a drunk, text and was like, "If I ever do a podcast, it's gonna be with you." And she's like, "Okay, sure." And then about a year later, I reached back out. It's like, "Let's actually do it." So,
Wow. Okay, so the podcast was your idea, Suzanne, and you reached
Mhm.
out to Missy. I
yes.
love that. I love that. And but you just shared it's been about 2 years, just about 2 years that you've been doing a podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just
Can you
launching our
believe
3rd
it?
season.
Yeah, we
That's
have over
great.
100 episodes now.
That's exciting. That's
It
exciting. All
is.
right. So,
Yeah.
well, let's talk. You have younger kids,
Mhm.
and yet you've always, well, Missy, you said it that you were always like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to be? What am I going to have? You didn't say those words, but that's basically what you said, that you had it in your thoughts that one day you were going to have all this space and time.
Yes.
And I think that's really important for everybody to know that it's never too early to start finding something you call your own.
No,
So
for
true.
sure. It's
Never too
always
early.
been an interest of mine because I've seen people throughout my life, I'm not pointing at any particular person, but we've all seen it. The people who are just kind of lost, or they'll even say they're bored or they're lonely. And I didn't want to go there. And I didn't want to look at my husband one day and like, who are you? Who am I? What are we doing? I didn't want it to be all about the kids.
Right.
They are very all consuming while they live in your home.
Yes, they
And
are.
according to people who have empty nests, they're still pretty consuming. But I wanted to have some identity that was my own, especially once I chose to stay home for a little while. I knew that that wasn't going to be forever. I wasn't just staying home and never leaving. And I mean, Suzanne has an interesting take on it as well because her book is very much about finding that next chapter. So
Yeah.
I won't tell your story. You tell your story.
Yeah, no, I want to hear about the book. So Missy, did you walk away from work and a career to be a full-time mom, which is a career
I
on
did.
itself that nobody can fully understand?
Right, right. I did almost unintentionally. We've talked about it a lot in the podcast. Things sort of just happen. And we moved about the time that I guess my son was like 3 months old. And so I worked for myself at the time as a freelance copywriter, but I thought, oh, I'll take some clients with me. I'll get some clients in Austin. I'll keep this going. Who knows what's next? And once we got to Austin, it just sort of things just changed. And I realized I'm just going to focus and stay home for a little while. I thought it would be a little while. And it just, then we had another baby, or life just starts to
Yeah.
kind of happen. I wish it had been more intentional. That's something we've learned in doing our podcast. There's
Mhm. It's your word of
a
the
lot
year.
to be said. It's my word for the year is intentional.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
There you go.
but but it wasn't. I sort of let it happen to me, and suddenly there I was at home, and it just became very important to me to prepare myself for what was next, whenever that was going to happen.
So,
Mhm.
and I'm going to get to you in a second, Suzanne. I'm not ignoring you. But so, what was the first step? What was the first thing? Like, at what age were your kids when you discovered that you wanted? Obviously, writing is a thing for both.
Right.
It's like your thing, and it's Suzanne. It's your thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, when did you say, okay, I'm going to do something that's just mine?
I think when I had my youngest was a newborn, it was really hard. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was going to be that hard. Um, and I was lost. I was in that. I mean, just I did not have what I would think of as true postpartum depression, but I definitely had what we've all heard called the baby blues. And I was just really lost and lonely. And I started searching around the internet, like literally Googling things like, why does anyone have more than one child? Having two children is hard. Toddlers and babies are impossible. And I was a lonely lady. Um, and I found blogs and I
Right.
thought, well, I'm at least going to start that. And while I'm doing that, maybe I'm going to go back to copywriting. And I did. I had some clients starting around then here and there. But that blogging was really the first step, and that took on a life of its own. Suzanne's been down that road too. It was 2008, like or I guess 2009 by the time I was Googling this, and everyone's blogging, and it was a whole community, and we started networking, and Listen to Your Mother came out of that, and
Nice.
here we are years later, and it's led to all kinds of opportunities for both of us, I
Look
think.
at that. It was Google. I was Googling all about the
Googling,
curiosity
why
around the
am I so
loneliness.
sad? And
I
will
wish
I
I
ever
had
not be sad?
I might have Googled some of the same things had I had Google when my kids were
I
little.
know, I
But yeah.
know. That
So,
is
so Suzanne, what about you? Like, what did you always have work outside of the mom work, or did you walk away as well?
I did walk away. It was a tough decision. My decision was kind of made for me, although I'm starting to realize more and more that maybe I made the decision and just made an excuse of not having childcare. Childcare situation in Seattle when we were there was crazy. Like the minute the EPT test came positive, we basically got on a list. And we did not get the phone call from that place until I'd been home with my daughter for probably 8 months to say that there was a spot available. I was like, "Well, that's too late."
Don't need you
Um,
now.
yeah, yeah, I think it really hit me when I was taking my youngest to his first day of like full day, quote unquote, preschool. And we had dropped him off, and my husband was going off to work. And he looked over his shoulders. He's walking down the hallway, and he's like, "Happy first day of the rest of your life." And I was like, "Oh, gee." And not in a bad way. I mean, I think he
Right.
was very much like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be the first time that like you have not been."
Right. They freed them.
Yes,
Mhm.
but to me, I was thinking like, "Wow, okay, that means I need to figure some stuff out." And
Uh-huh.
and I had already kind of been thinking about it. I came from a really high profile career. I worked on Apple and Disney doing advertising. I put a lot of value in, being associated with those names and, having these great clients. And it was it was just really weird. I remember we were doing a remodeling project in our house a few months after I had left my job, and it's not being able to get people to do what you want because it was for a client.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You say you need something for Apple, people do stuff.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you just say you need someone to hit a deadline or get something to your house at a particular time, they could not care less.
No.
And so that was a big identity crisis, and just I put a lot of value, I think, being the daughter of a single mom, growing a single working mom growing up, I put a lot of value in making my own money,
Mhm.
being able to support myself in the
Mhm.
case of an emergency, and so that was also really hard. So I just felt like I needed to have something to fall
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also feel like I did my kids a disservice worrying so much during that time when I was at home about what I should be doing or, should
Yeah.
I be doing this? Am I gonna is this gonna be just detrimental to my career taking this time off? And thinking about that is not gonna make it less detrimental to your career, and it's just gonna make you not enjoy your time at home as
Right.
much, which is a big part of the book that I am working on. It's trying to basically retain some I call it retaining your, like, resale value, but also your self-value
Yeah.
while you're at home. But also just giving yourself permission to be like, yeah, I do want to be at home with my kids, if that is what you want to
Right.
do. And I felt there's society kind of puts a shame on that. And I wasn't the stay-at-home mom that's like the real competitive, like trying to be super good at it. I just wanted to hang out with my kid.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I thought that was awesome. And I'm really fortunate that I had the opportunity to do it. But I spent a lot of time, I think, apologizing for it.
Oh,
And so
Mm.
I
that's a good
feel
lesson.
I feel like I want to save some future moms the not grief of that, but just the weight of it.
Yeah. So if you're able to stay home, whether you want that to be a permanent thing or not, you're what I hear you saying is like embrace it, be with
Yeah.
it, and if there's something else you want to do, give yourself permission to investigate, but don't feel badly that you're at home. Like when because I think I shared I'm 56, my kids are 24 and 27,
Mhm.
and when my kids went to preschool, I was in the minority of the one where that went to work. I
Mhm.
was in
Mm.
the minority, and I only worked part-time, and it was still a minority. Like, my daughter left her friends to go to the class that was till 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
not the one
Right.
that ended at 12 or 1. But
God.
but I it's interesting having friends that chose to be home, and those of us that chose to have our foot in each one, just
Mhm.
don't feel guilty either way. It's like there's
Yeah.
Right.
no should in motherhood. There's like it's just where you are. So I think
It's just where you
that's
are.
that's really good
Yes.
advice,
And I
Suzanne.
was the only one of my friends from work that didn't go back.
That's
So I
interesting.
didn't have a real model of, what this
Uh,
looks like, and I didn't have a community. I
yeah.
once I left all those friends that I had built over the, 10 years of working or whatever,
Wow.
um, that was starting from
Listen.
scratch, and that was
Mhm.
before the Facebook groups and the,
Right.
all these things.
Yeah.
You basically had to go door to door saying, "Will you be my friend?"
For sure. I did some things that like now I wouldn't do, but when I'd get an invitation to go join a group, I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
go do that. I need to wake up one day and be like, this is not the group for me. I'm not supposed to be here. But it's desperate times.
No, I
Yes.
know. I totally hear that. I didn't have these online groups. So I think that's one tip is like, you can find a community both in person and online so that you feel less alone. But what would you say to the mom that walked away from it all and now her kids are either like yours, where you have at least one of multiple kids that heading out the door, or maybe like me that they are out the door, and
Mhm.
you are in that, as Miss said, oh crap, now what?
Mhm.
Like what would you say to them as a first step to figuring out like, okay, who am I? What do I want to be outside of being that role of mom?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that we would like to say to them, I think.
I
I
know
don't want
there's
to
a
speak
lot.
for Suzanne, but I think the thing that I have learned over the couple years of talking to coaches and really fascinating women is that not only is it not too late, it's probably right on time. You're
Mhm.
such a different, complete, and whole person at this age with so much experience. And you should never look and say, oh, I just stayed at home. You did not just stay at home. You managed a business. Home is a business.
Oh yes.
Kids are a business. You're taking care of so much, but you yourself have learned so much along the way that I think it's a really exciting time. So that first step is just to acknowledge the fact that it's all out there before you
Yeah, I
and
love
Yeah.
not
that.
to feel sad about it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is so exciting. Suzanne, what would you want to say?
Oh, I'm kind of the nuts and bolts girl of the
Yeah, go ahead.
of the
Go ahead.
team. No, but I have found the process of my daughter's college research so fascinating, and I think it's so applicable to the parents themselves. So, like, I think it's almost a parallel path. If at the same time you're helping your child get ready to launch and to go off to college, I mean, the same exercises you're putting them through, just do them yourself. Do it with them. I
Yes.
think it's really fun. It can be a fun way to learn about each other. If you're learning about their values and their aptitudes and their abilities, go ahead and take those little tests for yourself and try them out. And,
Yes.
it's so fun to look through some of these colleges, not that I'm gonna go back to school necessarily, but, look through the majors, look through the
Yeah.
classes, see what makes your, soul light up and go bing, bing, bing,
Right.
bing,
I
and
love
Because you
that.
that
don't have to go back to school. You can go take a course on it, though, or go listen to some lectures about it or
or a
whatever it is that lights
podcast
you
or
up.
whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's just, I mean, it's a super comprehensive way. I mean, just go to a big school and look at what their class offerings are, look at what their
Mhm.
majors and minors and stuff are. And yeah, just literally, this is how we did our core values exercise too. You know, you look through the list of all the core values and you just kind
Mhm.
of listen to your gut about which one speaks to you and do the same thing
Mhm.
with those majors. And maybe that'll give you an idea of, you know, a podcast you can follow or a class you can take or whatever the case may be. But I just think it's such an interesting exercise. I I apply this all the way back too, and this is going to be the whole purpose of the book too, is, you know, we spend so much time trying to find the perfect camps for our kids
Oh,
or trying to
Mhm.
find the perfect preschool or the perfect, you know, whatever. And I just wish I know they take a lot of time. I know they I know they keep you really busy, but at least in the back of your head while you're doing those things, just always be thinking, what camp would I take? You know, or, you know,
Right.
is there something that is the equivalent of this camp that I could do while they're at that camp?
Right.
Just to make sure that you're keeping that part of your brain that at least has hopes and dreams of something you could do someday.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
just keeping yourself aware of what you're
Yeah.
interested in,
I love
even if
it.
you
You know,
can't participate.
I've spoken to a lot of coaches. I'm a coach, and nobody's ever suggested look at, you know, if you, especially if you're navigating the college send off, the application period with your son or daughter. But it's interesting because, you know, I'm fascinated by optimism and happiness. So I started looking for ways, because if I went back to school today, it would be all about positive psychology. I
Mhm.
Mhm.
am not going back to school today because the thought of it makes me so ill. I can't even though I would probably do really well because I would love
Yeah.
it. But I found certification programs and I found really good
Mhm.
books. There's a book written on everything
Everything.
everything. So
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love that idea. So there's a really good place to start is pull up the college. If you don't have kids in college, just Google your college and
Yeah.
look at majors today because they've changed a lot.
A
So
lot.
much.
It is
And
a
it might
very different
trigger,
landscape.
yeah. And I love what you said. You know, does something like, is there something you've done where when you look at the title of a class, does it light you up inside? Pay attention to how you
Mhm.
feel because that's an indication that there's something there. And maybe you could Google a little more and find out a little more. I love that. Love that
Yeah.
suggestion.
It's
Yeah.
also a great way to traumatize your child because I will tell mine, like, maybe I can go with you
Yes, we
and
could
watch
be
his eyes like, "Ugh."
we could be roomies.
Yeah. Yeah. At the very least, I could make you dinner.
You
You can come
know,
over to my place.
I think you should just do that just to mess with them anyway. And
Yeah.
I use the word mess with them because I decided I wasn't going to drop the F-bomb on my podcast.
Oh,
But
good
it's a
to know.
good way of
Okay.
payback because motherhood, we get to pay back. That would
Mhm.
be a good payback.
Yes.
Scare them and say, you know what? I really looked at this and I've always wanted to go back for a degree. I think I'm going to take some courses at your college.
Gonna do it. Yeah. Gonna go
Dad's
with you.
fine with it. I'm gonna move to Boston with you.
Oh my God. The only problem with that, right. The only problem with that is that you might end up paying for therapy for them. And then it just like, forget it.
Yes,
I always say they're
exactly.
gonna go for something anyway. You might as well make it
So
good and worth
true.
their money.
So
Yep.
true. All right. So I know, so you both embrace it, the whole find what lights you up, do your investigation. I love that the tip that Suzanne gave. That can also be a dare. Um,
Mhm.
Yes.
oh, it's a
Ooh,
good
I just
one.
got my dare.
Oh, you got
Oh,
your
man.
dare. I'm going to ask you each for a dare. We're going to
All
do
right.
a double dare, one from each of you. So before we get to the double dare, because I always ask my guests to leave the audience with a dare, something to have them step out of the comfort zone, do something new, do something different. So you're each going to give a dare. But I do want to ask you, what's it like co-hosting a podcast, working with a friend? Because I'm a solopreneur and I get lonely. That's why I do these collaborations. What's it like for the two of you entering your second year working together as friends and moms?
Ugh, it's
I
the best. You know,
the
it
best.
might have been different if we went in like with a super, not that we were friends before, but I say our friendship has been like nurtured through doing
Yes.
the podcast. Because
Yes.
we did not spend a ton of time together
Mm-mm.
before or
And when we
any
were
so
together, we were either like in a roommate situation or like in a group
Right.
because we
yes.
have a mutual group of friends. So yeah, I think it might be different if you went into it with your like bestie.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then there might be some conflict, but like everything has been I'm just I'm picturing a bunch of vines growing together. Like everything has grown. Our friendship has grown
Yep.
together with the podcast growing together, and our knowledge about each other and
Hmm.
understanding each other has all kind of grown together at the
Yeah.
same time. So it's been really lovely. So there
Yes.
hasn't been any conflict. We have also both discovered we are Enneagram nines, which
Yeah.
makes us shocked every day that we put together a weekly podcast because you'll see sometimes it comes out on a Wednesday, sometimes it comes out on a Friday
I know.
because and
Is
neither
how it
one of
is.
us will ever be, like, angry with the other about it because 'cause
Mm-mm.
we'll just be like, "You know what? It's not happening for me tonight. Can we do it tomorrow morning?" And we're both just roll with it. So we're very roll with it people, so I think
That's
that that
good.
helps as well.
I
Yeah.
also think it goes back to something you were saying earlier about, that Suzanne about um, being okay with where you are and accepting it. It's like perfection is not what I'm going for.
Mm-mm.
Yes. I think that
And
was Missy, and yes, but I agree
and
wholeheartedly.
I yeah, and obviously, if when people go and check out your podcast, the Mom and dot 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 podcast, and the more episodes we produce for Beyond Empty Nest, you'll see what the most important thing is not if you miss the drop date of a Wednesday or a Thursday,
Yeah.
it's that you're providing your audience, fellow moms, fellow women with an opportunity to learn, grow, and figure things out, become more self-aware, understand who they get to be outside of the role as mom. And that's what this is about. Not whether it drops on a Wednesday or a Thursday or if we miss a
Right.
week. So I'm
Yes.
with you on that one, wholeheartedly on that one. I'm
Yes.
Yeah.
releasing. There's no perfection happening here on this end. And people know, that Jody and perfection, they don't go hand in hand. So, ladies, it's dare time.
Oh,
Okay.
Time to leave. And I've loved our conversation. I probably could stay on here for 2 hours. But
Yes.
yes.
let's each one of you offer, we'll start with Suzanne. So let's offer the audience a dare. What is something that they can dare to try and do for themselves?
Oh my gosh. Well, now I am going to do my dare of what I said. I encourage you to go kind of relive your college planning experience. I This has been especially fun for me because I did not plan for college. I my mom did not go to college and she, like I said, she's a single mom, didn't have time for all that stuff. My brother went to University of Idaho, so it just seemed like a good place I would go. I think my form I say was a it was basically like filling out a form at a dentist's office. That was my college
Yeah.
application, and
Nice.
I never thought that maybe they wouldn't accept me. That just wasn't even a thought that went through my head. I just thought it was something that you just put it in there just to let them know you were coming, and luckily I ended up there. So I take that time for you the college experience maybe that you did plan for or wish you had planned for, or maybe you
Right.
didn't go to college. And pick the one that sounds interesting and go look through their course list and go look through their majors. And then when you do find one that goes ping, ping, ping,
Take note.
go Google your zip
Mhm.
code and see if there's anything around your area. Maybe it's a meetup, or maybe it's a community college course, or maybe there's just a TED talk or something that you could.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so take a little time to pretend you're doing your MBA in momming.
I love that. I love that. And post mom doctorate. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
there you
Mhm.
go. All right, Missy, we need a dare from you.
Okay, so I think I've been thinking about this for a couple days, and I recently made a vision board, which is a thing I have never done before. But we've been talking to coaches for 2 years, and many of them recommend vision boards. And I would
And
think,
you have a session on it too.
I do a
yeah,
whole full day
Yeah.
yeah, you do.
virtual experience and I have an in-person experience. But go ahead, lay it
Yeah.
on them.
And I resisted it. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. It felt a little woo woo. How can it really help me? So, my dare is to, if you have the same feelings I did, squash them. I don't advocate squashing your feelings usually, but squash those and give yourself the opportunity to sit down and really think about who you are, what lights you up, what is it you want to do. And for me, I did one for 2023, but I've heard people can, set your vision for the next 3 months, set your vision for the next 2 weeks, whatever it is, wherever you are in your life right now, what makes sense. Give yourself that time. And I have noticed that I'm really framing everything I'm doing within that. It helped me get some clarity in some places where I felt like I was just pinging all over the place. And so yeah, do your vision board. And there's
Love
all
it.
kinds of tools. For
Oh,
example, Jody has some tools, but there's all
Yes.
kinds of, and I made
dude.
mine on Canva, which was really
Yeah.
fun. And
It's
um,
so cute. They have all the templates just ready for you to shove pictures in there. And
Canva
I
is my go-to.
yeah, I spend a ton of time on Canva and never knew that until Missy showed it
Yep.
to me. So that's a good tip for people too.
Well,
yeah.
congratulations on making your first vision board. It is powerful and it helps with clarity. So you have a double dare. You have a dare from Suzanne to
Yes.
pull up a college website, look at all the majors today, pay attention to what you hear, you feel like ping ping or lights you up, and then go research, is there a class, a book, a TED Talk somewhere you can get it? And Missy said, forget your thoughts about woo-woo. Make a vision board. Make a vision board. It can be as tight as you want it or as broad as you want it. It could be around, if you have a word of the year, you can make a vision board all around that word. I love that. Great dares. I loved having you both on Beyond Empty
Thank you for
Nest.
having us.
Super
I'm excited
exciting.
for your listeners to prepare for their empty nestness. There's so much excitement ahead.
Well, thank
Yes.
you. I appreciate
And-
the two of you so much.
And well, I appreciate you building community and giving so many moms the thing that we did not have.
Yeah.
For when they're going to have the empty nest, we didn't have that when we went into the stay-at-home momness, and I just think it's so valuable to have that at any phase of
Yes.
stage of your life.
Thank you. Well, it is. It's a really empowering time in our lives. And we have all the podcasts and the support out there to help us embrace and the empowerment of it. So thank you both. I look forward to more episodes of your podcast along with mine. And as I always say, dare on.
Dare on. We love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Head over to jodysilverman.com for our full show notes, more information, and additional resources to support you through empty nest and midlife. And if you've enjoyed today's show and are ready to embrace this midlife chapter, then you must take the Happy for No Reason quiz. When you take the quiz, you'll discover what your happiness set point is and how you can increase it and continue to strengthen it. This is just one key to navigating life transitions and discovering your most fulfilled and daring life. So go ahead, click the link below and take the quiz now. I'll see you next Thursday. Dare on.